This will be part B of 11B. I'm trying to show all the extra pieces that are being meshed together here. I also need this all on the screen. This will, so this is where I left off, and when I was just reading, more verses can come out when you mesh them together. I didn't catch everything. Here it seems that I moved this from someplace. And then must have did something there, but I must have moved it from here. I don't see any words here, but anyways, the text is coming out anyway. This note's just for me. I'm not going to go over it though this time. Because the word is soldier and centurion. I think in one story it is listed as his father and servants. So it's now a centurion that has a servant. Now the servant would have to be an Israeli, but the centurion, was he in his a Hebrew descent? I don't know. But I would because if it's got soldiers under him, it would be these would have been Romans, so I'm sure this guy here would have been a Roman as well then. But changing the words to match the story now. In this text, we got to get mesh below here. And I remove this group to this area here, so I don't know where that's going, but I guess if I clicked on these words here, or I could have checked it right now, but I'm not halfway through this one, and I'd like to try to speed it up here. So persecutes to bullies. I think bullying is a better word. And I guess I should have done that for the sentence. Here's extras that are brought up here, and then they're not needed because they're already said. Had to add these. This is just not making any sense. It could be said as a parable, like trying to say that you're just supposed to be consulting with them and trying to make that effort, but that's already in the text. So it's kind of like being repeated, and that would be walk with your opponent. Okay, so okay, here's text that actually fit. This is going to be text that's being meshed. Not needed. These were from the extras again, but I only needed this part. This verse is from extras. Okay, yeah, I said I got moved 2, and I'm trying to think of where's the 2. This is 1, and this is 2. It had to be split. Okay. Here's new editing here. This is the text that's being meshed above. And it's just not lilies, it's flowers. One flower. Good. Those are easy once you understand that I'm trying to say not every field has a lily. So they do have all a flower. So making it first person. Just small little edits that when I started doing these are just edits. And then, like I said, a lot of this stuff sent the crowd away, and he didn't need to go to pray anymore because now the boat was, and he was heading out to the boat. So then don't need these words. And just like this in the fourth watch at night. Now, if they're dividing it up by 12, this is here again. That's why I'm not saying that. That's why it's confusing here. If it's the fourth, that's real early. So I just put in the night. Jesus was gliding over the water. Sank into the water with multiple voices, not loud voices, not a loud voice. Yeah, I don't see anything here that needs to be, except for this here. This again is more text being added here. And just moving this part up to here because the stories go together. Mesh below. Use this word here and to say the city he was going to on the other side. So, but don't need these words here either, just that this is the area. Rearranging words there, taking out words. Added this. Do not remember what I did, because if he's done so much, I needed to add this here to make sense that he wants to refer back to about bread and his teaching. And then these aren't needed. They just aren't. I mean, to say that they went and picked up all the pieces left over, why? People at that time were just throwing their bones off to the side. I know animals would come in and look at that and kind of cause problems with the animal, but a day in the sun can get rid of all that anyway. The fish anyway would be picked apart by the birds. Use adding this because it's down here when I'm meshing them together, and then this is not needed and not needed here. That's just not diviners at this time. Here I'm moving more text up here, using the word from there to there. Changing the word from 12 years to many years. There's no way that it could know exactly how many years. Just doesn't make sense. It's easier just to say many. Is our trouble or his healer or his prophet? I wanted to put the word prophet here, so the healer, because a lot of this one is going through Jesus's pretty much being understood as a prophet who can heal. So I just think it's a better word to be used as a healer, because he was also telling them things. Mesh below, all being yellow. This here, yeah, just the yellows meshed into the text. Okay, it seems I moved these for a truer meaning. I don't know why I had it here, because that's this verse here, so that doesn't any good. So that's going to be wrong when you're looking at these words here. Just moving Jesus from there to there. And servants, that's what the word they means, is servants. So I made sure it's servants. From a boy to a child. And here again, I'm putting the word or the name Judas in to have, this was another position that I'm giving verses to, like I said before, give us some reason why Judas did betray him. Moved here, taken out altogether, or nope, it's going to get all removed. So here again, Judas didn't need because I've got this verse someplace. So here's extras going in here, extras going in here, extras down here, and then these verses aren't needed, or words aren't needed. Then shouted from the crowd, not a reply from the crowd. Moved here under here. I don't know where I moved it from, but anyways, okay, from here. So moved it as a group. So it's kind of really old meshing, so I don't know why I put that in like that, but seemed like a good thing to do at that time. And then just moving the word Bartholomew over here because I'm trying to put the names in order, and I've added the word names and didn't need the words his 12 disciples. They would have just wrote our names are. Make it more first personal. Get rid of disciples, referring to us, them, us. See all these, this now will read as if the disciples were writing it. This they didn't, this isn't not needed because the sick and lepers, I can't say that these are caused by demons, but when it's written here, cast out their demons, that would be those possessed with say like epilepsy, which the story comes out that he had a demon that was doing this type of thing. So they didn't cast that one guy out, so I'm not sure how this text, because they would have been able to do it though. So I don't want these in here and being deceiving by the other text. But if they were able to heal that person that was sick, yes. Okay. So the thing here is if they would have considered they were doing some healings, I could cover it under the word sick. Needed to add this at this time because this is what's happening, that he's starting to move or getting closer to Jerusalem. So this is where he's headed to. So that needed to be put in there. And then down here is the location where he's coming from. Then he goes over to Jericho. But yeah, all this text isn't too hard to figure out. Leaves him, needs to be put up here when I'm reading it. That should have been removed when I done it the first time. These are just switching words around or switching sentences around. You can see Shiloh here. On our way to Shiloh, I got here. So this is all coming out. Just this verse, this how it's going to look like when it's cleaned up. I needed to add these words here just because the text demands this extra input. So here's why we could not cast it out. So here, this happens with others. It's just Jesus trying to explain, but this is what I was talking about, why I'm taking out the word that they were to cast out demons. And if it would have been in this case, then it would have been in another case. So That's being meshed above. All these are just being edited. This text. I don't know why I had that. Oh, I was changing it to villages. Can't remember, but I don't know why it's reading this way. So there must have been some other editing. But the object is by Shiloh and then to Jericho. Is when I'm putting the text in that fits the story that these did take place there. That's why I've had to do a lot of this extra editing. A lot in here, as you see, because I've reread the text already about 4 times. So that's all these edits going in here. And then when I go through it and read it maybe 3 or 4 times, then I'll have that maybe marked up. And then the final one will be cleaned up. And then all the editing that I can really do, hopefully I will get it all done with, so it's all in this group of videos, because any extra editing I'm not going to go over. I add 10 words to 5,000 words. I'm not going to go through and say that. It'll just be marked up. This verse was moved below this text here, or moved above that. So yeah, this has to be moved up where he's talking about sending out the disciples. It doesn't seem to be here. Or this, or yeah, this would have been right after they all re-met. Now we're going to go to Jerusalem because he's going to go to Jericho, Bethel and Jericho. So this is all getting, okay, these were added from the end and then removed. They didn't fit the story, although this story is going to be moved by this. This is going to be moved again. This here is getting meshed below. And now that they weren't leaving Jericho, they were now entering. Okay, so yes, let's see, I approached entering. So maybe if I do a yellow here, yellow here. There was 2 different stories, and when I'm combining them, I felt that it would not hurt the text whether have a female blind, and instead of just a man or male or men. So that's why I'm changing the story to be for a female. Mesh below. And you can see I've got notes here to help again there. Here's text that come from the bottom, put here and didn't go. Now here I had to split these verses from here to put this in here, in between. So yeah, and I'm given just a disciple's name that we include other disciples. So a disciple they would know. So I just put in Philip. I could have chose a different name, but I just used Philip. I thought that there was enough about other disciples that share their name in the rest of the text. This is moving here to here, and it was, or no, combine into this. So that verses get combined in there. Giving them the title, that's pretty much what they'd be saying. I'm changing all the words, name Pilate to first name because we're on a first name basis. So getting rid of a last name to a first name. Tier above J12, which is this one here. So this come from someplace else. And I most likely, right here. I had it here. And then rereading it, it belonged up here. Again, 2 disciples. I put in 2 more disciples, so we have them involved in the story. So the more I do this, the more later, when you're trying to recall the 12 disciples, it'll be easier for people to remember, those that are going to truly study and absolutely know every word here, or at least they can speak to the story and it's just for remembrance for people riding the road that are going to preach in this text and teach from this text. Okay, I'm moving this verse above this verse here, so 22 minutes, and I think I'm going to need more time. So here, pretty much everything there. This is simple. I'm moving those words around. Don't need those words. Later to here. Became resentful. I just angry. I don't need the word taxman here. Needed sinners. Here, that's where I removed it to. Here, from wherever it was before. It looks like I had meshed them together before maybe I moved them, so I'm meshing this up above, so moved it down here, and then I meshed it because this is the story Luke, so this would not have been moved, but the new group coming in from Matthew didn't want to read in double. Two stories too familiar or almost the same, so they can be combined. Condemned to stone. That's what the law was about. Offspring to descendants is better word. Descendants was better. I changed his age from, I'm saying 50 to 30, because Jesus had to be 25 to become a priest. So, they would have known that this is 20, he's 25 years old now. So here, Abraham, yeah, this is okay. I needed to put in 4 days because of the way the text is going, this group was put in, so it fit in that day, so that needed the correction there. Again, text that I brought up from the bottom. because the story is talking about Nicodemus. I put this story with Nicodemus here, so just thought I'd introduce him to him earlier with the name and trying to figure out later. This is more or less correcting the way Jesus would say it, not just to one individual, but to the group. These verses came up at the bottom, and they fit. It was surprising how many did fit. I got a bunch of short little verses at the end that didn't go, okay, here. It says Lord, and yet this story here, like I said, is not making sense to me. I mean, I can explain all the parables, okay? And I will when I go over all the text. But the object here is in these words here, it's just not making sense. It's like I struggle to try to find reason for this. So a lot of this might be like the wine story, and I might remove it later, but it's in right now. Um, yeah, I didn't put heavens because it's actually the stars, which is a heaven. And the way I note them is with three different words being used. Heaven, all capital, is where our Creator lives. The capital H would be the stars, and then the Earth's atmosphere is the other heaven. That's how they understood as three heavens. So I just put the word stars. Yeah, I don't think any of this is really too difficult because I've been over most of the reasons why when I see some of this text. This was a note to myself when I was trying to figure out the things for 2 days, and I showed you some of that where I checked it 4 days. So, and I still might have to edit those, but this verse came up and went right there out of the extras. Oh, first person it was. Yeah, likeness is better. It's needed. Okay, all the notes here to mesh it together. I know I'm kind of going over, but I just don't need to keep repeating what's happening by the notes already on the page. I'm trying to see what's important that somebody might have wanted to know why I did some of like all this editing here. I better, um, yeah, gave it a more, you and okay, just a second. Got to pause this. Yeah, boy, what happened? I hope I'm recording. I'm hoping I was recording that way because when you slide the mouse down too far, it takes everything off the screen. So, but how come this thing isn't charging? Okay. Um, Delivery man or woman, don't know, took off too quick. Not fail him, but abandon him. That's the same thing like I was saying before. Like the word fall away. Pretty much making the text read it as if they were writing it. And then again, this group here with these verses came up here. I did find pretty much a lot of text that went up. You'll be surprised at how little the text is, and then you'll recognize most of it is already in the text. I'm just putting his name in here, scattered to here, brought this down into here, don't need this, or rearranged the text, or rearranged the words. I stuck this in the middle here. So it's a rearranging of the text. I'm just including the elders here. And like I said, replacing Pilate with his first name. Didn't know how many times he was mentioned in the text, but he's got quite a few times he's being mentioned. That's what they're all doing. And yes, these people had to be Jews, not our people. It was the Jews that were that convicted him or condemned him. And I'm changing this Simon to this type of Simon. And that's Simon, Simon. Anyways, it's just the difference of trying to keep it correct. And I think I've changed it to meet it was a disciple, because they would have been there at all time when they started condemning him, or took him before Pilate, because they most likely were watching what would happen. Well, when Peter come out, told them where they were at, what they were doing. So it was casting dice, and used it from down here. You add it up there. And like I'm trying to work in the correct hour. So again, I'm still using the message 12, but it's really dividing that day up a lot. And this is where the house cracked in two, and I'm just saying that they were blocks that just cracked. Because you can't really say split, and split kind of has a gap, I would say, but to crack, then we have an understanding of the crack, and then move this up here. So this should have been yellow. And then don't need some of this because the text would have said it someplace else. Don't need these other people there. That's just, I don't see the point of having these people, these others here, these other two women. They just don't make no sense. And pretty much Magna is now out of all the text completely. So well, that's what happens when you're trying to tell the most truth that you can in these verses, that just some of them just are added for their reasons. Here I'm moving it around. Here's text again. Okay, now here, I was telling the last video I was going to stick the text that has the healer here, and this will be all brown text for the healer, or the helper, excuse me. And I put it here. And so I know I'm getting to the end now and might get it all done in 40 minutes. And so this text needed to be moved down below the story. So, and here's another verse that got put in here. But this is now close to the end. And this is where I had it stuck, and I put it upward. And then, okay, so what did I mean by doing this here? Oh, it's better text is written. It's the same story, but it's better text. So I'm removing this story, and it's going to be involved in all these here. Okay, now this is what's left of here, and so what I just did was noted them here, and yeah, that's what happened. This one I moved, and it wasn't here before. So this one here was moved to the end. So this, and then, whoops. Now that completes this. And like I said, when you're reading this, this isn't bad, just this little bit here, even though I know I probably took out, from each of these books, probably 20-30% of the text, but whatever I had come up with, you can pretty much, see, like Magdalene, I just didn't have a place for that story to be said. So that she just didn't go in. When I couldn't put the story, then nobody would know who she is later. So, but some of these are just not true. In the middle of the celebration, they just went to the gate. This would have been after he had died, and then he would have had to come back, or his body died, and he would have had to come back and be teaching in here, and yet we have the angel telling him he's going to meet him up in Lake Galilee. It just was, I'm just trying to be more descriptive, so when you see it, those are my answers why I'm getting rid of that. So that is pretty much going to be the end of the story there on this text. Get rid of that there. Okay, and I'm going to clean up the text and read it a few more times before I show you the next video.